everybody, I'm Aaron Simmons. This is Philosophy for Where We Find Ourselves, February 27th, 2023. Thanks again for liking these videos, for subscribing to the channel, and for getting signed up to my newsletter over at jaaaronsimmons.com. A new newsletter is coming out this week, so make sure that you get signed up if you would like to receive the exclusive content that I make available just to my email subscribers there on the website. Today I want to talk about gear. Whatever activity you do, there is no doubt going to be some kit that you have to put together to do that activity really well. It might be as simple as finding a good stick when you start a hike to use as your walking stick along the way. But it also can get increasingly complicated given the degree to which we put time, energy, and effort into things that we think are worthy of our finitude, our lives, and give us joy along the way. So, I want to think about the kinds of gear that I use to do the things that I do, that I love doing, in order to pivot and wrestle with how philosophy might offer us a kit of its own that provides gear for life's road. My first love of the outdoors originates with learning to fish with my father. This here is my gear wall for fishing. We've got fishing jackets and vests, trout nets, assortments of different waders for different kinds of water temperature and different weather. Here is my Tacoma truck. I love my truck. I have spent an enormous amount of time navigating off-road trails, getting it very muddy and then getting it very clean when I return home. And it takes gear to do that. Here I've got my traction pads. I've got portable shovels to be able to dig out tires, tow rope. When it comes to mountain biking, the gear definitely can get a bit overwhelming. Not only do we need different types of bikes for different types of trails, the more gnarly the trail, the bigger suspension and travel we might require, the different kinds of tires we want to install. But we also need all of the gear that allows us to ride those trails safely. But then we've got to get to the trails, which requires bike racks, tailgate pads, locks to protect the investments we have. And we've got to fix the bikes. So we need work stands that are made specific to do the type of repair required given the type of riding. Here is my camping and backpacking gear collection. Lots of different sleeping bags, all rated differently for different types of weather, sleeping pads, different backpacks for different distances of hikes. So having taken a little tour of my gear collections, doing the things that I love doing, I want to remind you that when we talk about gear, it's important to differentiate between necessity and simply flourishing. So it's necessary to have a bike if you want to go bike riding. It's necessary to have a fishing rod of some sort if you want to go try to catch some fish. But it's important to realize you don't have to have waders. My dad and his friends used to fish 20, 30 years ago all the time in frigid waters, wearing nothing but jeans and old tennis shoes. And they did great. But if you talk to him now, he says, boy, the waders sure make it better. Similarly, if you want to go camping, you don't have to have 9 different sleeping bags and different tents and all of this different stuff. It's something that you can simply go and get the minimal things required in order to make it possible. In other words, it's very easy for us to allow the need for more gear to stand as an obstacle to doing the things we think we need the gear to do. The same is true in life. Philosophy helps us make sense of what is necessary and simply what might make something better. When it comes to philosophical gear kits for living well, I think actually the old standard tried and true 3-part focus of philosophical inquiry remains the essentials: beauty, truth, and goodness. What does it mean to understand and appreciate beauty? It means that we live in a world that is not simply dull and boring. It allows us to recognize that the world is something pretty spectacular if we just have the eyes to see. Philosophical appreciation and reminder of beauty doesn't mean that we've got to go be specialists in aesthetics. It simply is a way of being able to access the ordinary and realize that there's some spectacular moments in play. The true. We live in a time where it is difficult to know what's true, difficult to know where to turn for reliable information. And yet philosophy requires that we be epistemically responsible, that we be appropriately oriented toward the requirement of thinking well in order to live well. We need evidence and reasons for our beliefs. We need to back up our views by being able to engage and listen to the views of others. Now, in doing this, we get all sorts of virtues that flow out: humility, hospitality, honestness, earnestness, these different epistemic virtues that allow us to think well and think responsibly and think effectively, open onto a concern for the good. How ought we then to live with others in a shared space? The good is also something that, regardless of our circumstances, we need to realize is part of our essential gear kit. We love beauty because it helps us appreciate the joy, the wonder that is in life. We need truth in order to properly orient ourselves in life. And we need the good in order to walk well with others through life. The true, the good, the beautiful, these are the essential requirements. They're the bike and the fishing rod and the vehicle of some sort to get us to the mountains. But then what about the different types of gloves and different types of waders and different tire treads and the different compounds we use for different types of grip? None of that is necessary, but it does in many cases facilitate a better experience because we can go deeper in the woods, we can do gnarlier trails, we can get out of situations where we might otherwise get stuck. Philosophy's the same. When it comes to thinking about philosophy of religion, when it comes to thinking about specific ideas in metaphysics, when it comes to understanding and appreciating different views of justice in political theory, what about appreciating the idea that when it comes to ethics, there's different ethical models available for understanding the good? All of this deeper work, this more technical, specified gear kit, is not something that is reserved only for professionals. But it is something that we work our way into. It's something that we add as we start realizing the need for it, given the limitations of the kit that we currently have. You don't have to understand the differences between realism and anti-realism and hyper-realism, or why theism and atheism then opens on to anatheism and different varieties of cataphatic and apophatic models of understanding the divine. All of this is important and cool, but it's all stuff that is available should we want to go deeper, should we want to do gnarlier trails when it comes to the work of the mind. I say all of this to help us realize that philosophy is not the blinged out kit that you've got to have to impress people on Instagram. Philosophy is fundamentally about the necessities of thinking and living well and doing so with appropriate humility and yet appropriate confidence. This is a valuable thing to remember because we can get overwhelmed by needing more stuff, needing more gear, and forget about the fact that, look, we're just trying to go stand in rivers, cast a line, get on a trail, and enjoy the experience of trying to navigate it. What it looks like to do this work is similar to the philosophical project of thinking, living, and being well. So ultimately, what's in your gear kit? What are the things that you consider essential? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment. Give me what you think are some of those essential pieces of kit, or even the ones that aren't essential, but boy, they've been helpful. Is it a book by this or that thinker? A movie that helped you rethink where you are and why it matters? Maybe it's a song that encourages you in those moments of despair to remember that thinking about beauty is still worthwhile. Let's help each other pack our kits in ways that are responsible and also fun. I would love to be able to ride with you, to fish with you, to hike with you. But in the meantime, we can think together and talk along the way. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. unless a piano falls on our heads.